Welcome back to another edition of Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. Good friend Doug Hodges, the owner of Phoenix Crypto that has Bitcoin teller machines around. I don't even know what you call those things, BTMs or something.
I don't think anyone does. Everyone uses a different term, and it just depends on the context and who you're talking to.
Anyway, it's an automatic teller for crypto. Now, we'll get into how many he has and so on, but this is what's going on right now. We're doing a recorded show that we'll be posting today, but today is March 16th, 2021, Tuesday. I woke up to find, the network's not connecting. We're getting ready to do a show here in 15 minutes or so. What's up? And I'm, texting, emailing, and voice messaging Ian Freeman, which is the host of Free Talk Live, which is the parent company of LRN.FM, the network that we're on. One of them. And but they also feed some other affiliates and so on too. So we're not being rebroadcast because LRN got raided by the FBI. Well, they also raided the Bitcoin, what do they call it? The Bitcoin
Embassy.
Embassy, yeah, their outreach to the community there in Keene. Also, Derek J. and Steven Zeiler of AnyPay in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, had a visit from the FBI. They came in and sir, we'd like to, it's not about you. No, relax. We just want to talk to you about, your friends over. He goes, no, boom, closes the door. So there's that. So we don't know what's going on, what they really wanted, but it's obviously a Bitcoin thing. One of the other things that they've been dealing in, they got a lot. I remember seeing these. I've seen them at different festivals and so on. They're pushing these gold foil. They have the ability now to make gold leaf and laminate it in like a plastic. So it actually has a physical value. So you're having like bills that are made of gold. Well, gold will pound down to like an atom thick. I mean, you can get itty bitty, little bitty. So they got those, and I don't know that they're using them as currency. You're using them too much. It doesn't have the right weight. It'll be a weight thing. You think that's what they care about? Yeah, probably not. So, it's there's some kind of crackdown going on for some reason, and we've known this forever. Now, it just fortuitously that just a couple of days ago or yesterday, we came in to the valley here. Yeah, it was like Sunday, I think, and we're at a convenience store here in the south of Phoenix in an area called Ahwatukee area that is on your way to Tucson. Well, Ezra is part of the valley here a little bit. And as we pulled into the convenience store, I see, the regular ATMs they always got with the $3.50 strip off. And then right next to it was a crypto terminal. And I go, all right, take a picture of it. Now send it to Doug. I go, is this a competitor or is this you? And then you said what?
Oh, I said, yeah, lots and lots of competition. There's over 200 ATMs in the Phoenix area now. Not just,
serve cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, across all the different companies that are, operating here.
So this is one thing, let's get into some of the details for everybody. How many machines do you have? Been the big increase. You kind of told me that the IRS is saying hello to you. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So what currencies are available? What premiums are you charging? How that changes and when? What cryptos are the most popular? I got 5 billion questions.
Yeah.
The audience does for people just like you. So go ahead, Doug, tell us everything.
Okay, great. Yes, we've got 14 ATMs across the Phoenix area that are Phoenix crypto ATMs. For the currencies, you said right now we do Litecoin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. I recently removed Ethereum because the wallet that I was using, you're gonna love this, found out that they were charging something around to the tune of $100 for me to not network fees, but withdrawal fees from the wallet. That's a longer story, but so basically anyone coming to my ATM. And I happened to just discover it off chance. Someone coming to my ATM buying $5 worth of Ethereum, I was getting charged around $100 from the exchange. I think it was 0.004, 006 Ethereum or something, or oh 06
Why?
maybe it was.
'Cause they
Because
can't-
it's because the wallet, it's not one of the typical hot wallets. It's actually an exchange Bitstamp. So they have withdrawal fees, which are typically, not inconsequential. They're a couple cents, maybe $1. I happened to notice it by accident, so I had to kill Ethereum. Even if I wanted to sell Ethereum, my wallet provider is charging too much. And long story short, it's about the only wallet option on the ATM platform that I can use. So I can't really choose a different wallet.
Why? By regulation?
No, so because the company Genesis that wrote the software that writes the software that the ATMs run on, so they maintain the code that is the software the ATMs run on. So it's very great software, excuse me, but it is limited to like whatever features and options I can turn on and off in the software.
So that one, to be able to take Ethereum and do it through how you're configured on your machine.
So
$100 a transaction.
Yeah, and not just recently. Now, it hasn't been since when I first set it up. I did look at the withdrawal fees, but over the last few months, Bitstamp's been jacking up their Ethereum withdrawal fees, and I hadn't noticed.
Why?
And so anyway,
Was there
I know. I know that Ethereum fees in general have gone up, but for transaction fees, but I don't follow it that closely. But I'm pretty sure they're not up to $100 a transaction. So I noticed, I went back and I did find their old blog posts like, oh, now we're raising it to 0.02. Now we're raising it to 0.04. Now we're raising it to 0.06. And it happened over the course of a couple months.
Okay. Did they give a justification?
Yeah, they're saying, they're pretty much saying due to the high network fees that they are incurring. But yeah, sure, Ethereum fees are up, but I can't imagine they're $100.
Maybe they just
network fees.
They didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Who knows? But anyway, so the amount of ATMs in the area has just exploded over the last few years.
Well, what's the competition with currencies that they're doing? All the other machines, you got Bitcoin,
I would say
Cash, and Litecoin. So
yeah,
what do you think they're doing?
I would say the big four are the Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. But I'm getting to the point where I may just disable Bitcoin Cash, maybe even Litecoin. Now, Litecoin does okay for me because I've got a handful of customers that have, been using Litecoin just in smaller amounts for a while. But Bitcoin Cash, I'm almost zero use. It's almost not even worth the extra time and headache to maintain it and maintain the wallet and keep it, stocked for the ATM and stuff. But yeah, you'd be surprised. It is very, very probably 1% or less of total volume is altcoins.
I try not to spend anything because it's easy to spend it. It's more difficult to get it. And and every Bitcoin that I got either goes into silver or it gets traded to an altcoin because I'm not a fan of Bitcoin because the transaction fees are so freaking, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And it's going super compliance with, Sieg Heil Goldman Sachs.gov coin, eventually Bitcoin anyway. So, you can feel the influence of price and transaction and volume. It's all steering you towards, and it's Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's going to appeal most to people, assuming we have such a large contingency of speculators versus users, right? And that's also my ATM customers. I would say fall into a niche category of everyone that comes on your show, all the Bitcoin advocates, all our friends in the community. They're all advocates. They're all behind the ideology. My customers are not typically speculators, and they could care less about the ideology of Bitcoin. They're actually users of the currency. And so they're using ATMs because they have a need for it, and most of them are spending it, turning around and spending it and using it that day. And that's also why they pay the premiums at the ATMs rather than going on a cheaper place like Coinbase, is because they are looking to get it in their hands today, which the ATMs can offer, and versus buying online, you're waiting 3, 4, or 5 days.
Well, what's your transaction fee? I mean, you're charging what percentage?
14 to 16% based on
Whoa!
that's current. That's current.
You the man. Okay, and you do 14, 16 because
Based on dollar amount. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you've got some ATMs with 5 different price tiers, starting at up to $20 or something. It's something like 32% or something like that, and then 20 to 100, 28%, 100 to 300, and I'm ballparking here, but 103, 25%, and going from all the way from 32 down to high teens percent. That there's one company out there doing it that way. So that's you buy under $100 with them, and you're paying 30% ish.
As a lot of people in our position, I've been getting calls, and hey, you tell me about this crypto thing, Ernie. I got like a billion questions, So I give them, the spiel. They're close friends and they got some resources. But I go, well, how do you get it? And I go, well, you got, a few options. One, you KYC through one of these exchanges, and and the IRS is sending you a form, or you can do the local Bitcoin, and I wouldn't suggest your first transaction be of any amount with a kid at Starbucks, and then you get like Phoenix Crypto, you can go do the ATM, which you're going to have to, give a phone number and do kind of KYC there. So really, for people that are wanting to bail out of the legacy system, there's not a lot of options for them. I mean, what would you suggest?
Man, there really aren't. And, local Bitcoin, sadly, has essentially stripped the idea of local behind local Bitcoins. I don't know if you'd like Morpheus and I used to, that was our entire business, was basically through that platform. And they've disallowed, you're not allowed to have ads on local Bitcoins that advertise to meet locally. It's all for buying crypto through PayPal and Venmo and gift cards, all the scammy ways to do it. And so there's not a lot of options. There are things like Paxful. There are a few places where you can do bank deposit transfers. And so it uses kind of and so some of those ads are, they're not so sketch and so, necessarily dangerous to the buyer, but it's where you go to the bank and you deposit cash to an account that someone's given you. It's held in escrow through a site like Paxful. I don't really keep up on what maybe those other competitors are, but those are a few I know. But you're right, there's not a lot of options if you just want to stay kind of under the radar and get crypto.
So what do you think the future is? I mean, you're on the leading edge dealing with the forces of, they're looking to what? I mean, how many? Well, you got the IRS saying hello. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we went through, well, kind of still are going through, we're waiting for the final response, but it's an IRS audit, but it's not a tax audit that most people think, although it is the IRS. The IRS actually handles overseeing the compliance of money service businesses, MSBs, which I am as the ATM operator. And it's called a Title 31 audit. And so most MSBs go through it at one point. That's why I say it's somewhat typical. So I may expect to see them every couple of years, just checking back in. Hey, are making sure you're still following the rules. But basically, they come, they take a sampling of a bunch of our transactions, minus any customer data, just numbers. We turn over any customer data, but they, and they just ask us, basically doing a phone interview after I've submitted, a big bunch of docs to them where they're looking at our policies, our procedures, how good are we following certain aspects of both the BSA, Bank Secrecy Act, and Patriot Act that just basically say certain types of suspicious transactions, certain dollar amounts, we have to treat, in a certain way, from a turning in paperwork standpoint and all that good stuff. So they're just basically checking in, and then I'm sure when it's all done, they'll give us a nice laundry list. Hopefully it's not too bad of advice on, okay, here's where we think your compliance areas are lacking. So when we come back in 2 years, we expect you to have improved in these areas.
Eating the serfs into submission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Okay, well, what's the amounts that, first off, kind of an average transaction amount, and is there limits? I mean, do you set a limit on the machines?
Yeah. And every ATM operator can set their own limits. Right now we're at 7,500 per person per day. That's on the buying side. Sell side that's if you're selling crypto and withdrawing cash, is 10,000 per day. But what was the first question?
Well, does that trigger anything? Is that a list of people that you're serving up?
No. And so I like to kind of do a canary warning kind of thing, which is like, if you've heard, where you can advertise your customers. I think it started like the first one to do was like a library or something, where FBI kept coming in and saying, we want to know who's checked out certain books. And they said, you can't tell people that were coming in or have asked for them. And so instead, they put up a sign that says, the FBI we have never provided any users' information to the FBI. And then in parentheses, watch very closely for the removal of this sign.
Right.
So yeah, at this point, I can say
we have. Do you have the information retroactively? They do this person of interest thing. They go, and we want 2 years ago of everything that they did, everything.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, that's part of our compliance. We've got to keep records for 5 years, and if they come back and they say, hey, this person of interest, like you say, individual is, then we are obligated to provide whatever information we have on them.
So I have a lot of people asking me, well, what's the tax thing? And I go, well, it's like Andreas Antonopoulos used to go on about years ago in the beginning. Oh, we all got to be good little doobies and willingly comply.
Yeah.
Willingly complying. They don't know if you're complying or not anyway. So, but sooner or later they will. And I remember having a guy on Dark Data Services, I think it was. And he just, I don't even know if it was a psyop or what, but this was his deal. He goes, I'm an anarchist. I'm in the liberty community. And I just want to let people know that I'm tracking you down to your device. He goes, you think it's all secret, and it's not. He goes, I'm just a messenger here. I just want to clear my soul here and say, look, man, you guys are not as secret as you think if you don't know what you're doing.
And I don't doubt that for a second. It all comes down to, how much of a target have you put on yourself? Like, are you a high profile individual, or are you, just a dude who uses the ATM to buy $20 for a little nest egg put away once a week, for a year? You're gonna have a much lower risk of someone wanting to take notice, or look further into you. But if you're doing larger amounts, just whatever your exposure. So it's like a waiter or a waitress, right? Like everyone knows legally if you take cash under the table as a waiter or waitress, you're supposed to claim that. Like I think everyone understands the concept of that. If it's low level, it's going to be the same thing. They're expected to volunteer your whatever crypto or
if you lied.
Tips.
You got an account on Coinbase, and then you put I have not received or made or nothing, and none of your business. They'll go, oh, I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Hypnotized on this here government form. We're going to explain it to you. So the individuals that you deal with from the IRS and the government and banking industry, are you dealing with any? Have you ever even seen somebody with a pulse, or is it all forms and robots?
The only time, occasionally we'll meet with someone people who they'll pay a fee for either myself or somebody on my team to come out and meet them in person to help them through the machine. That's probably something else that is we're probably the only company that offers that here in Arizona. I don't think any other companies are even. But I know for trading, now I meet with people to buy my Bitcoin that I use at the ATM. But as far as my customer interfaces, 99.9% of that is through the kiosk, so we don't see them.
No. I mean government agents.
Oh, do I see
forms? Is there? You got some hot Asian chick that wants to explain it to you, or Are they just sending the gruffy big FBI guys or?
Yeah, so the title 31 that we were going through typically is done in person, the final interview or after we submit all our docs. But we did it over teleconference, over the telephone because of COVID and everything right now. So they had us do it that way. So no, I haven't had anybody knocking on my door. Knock on wood on that, but yeah.
Well, what do you think? What's kept you? I mean, you're just a good, invisible middle-aged white guy that wears a hat and kind of, don't bother me. I mean, what's kept you all squeaky clean?
Oh man, I wish I knew if there was. I don't think there's a secret to it per se, but I spent a long time after they locked up Morpheus, like really in high stress, looking over my shoulder constantly. Like it was not a fun way to live. Like I was really highly stressed, like thinking that they were going to be knocking on the door anytime. I hadn't done anything wrong in my own mind, but neither had Morpheus in his own mind. And so like there was no direct, like, oh God, I've, any direct reason to think that I should be in fear, but just the idea of the unknown. Yeah. So, I don't know the answer to that. I've tried to stay clean. I don't go out, doing blatantly nefarious stuff.
Well,
but I don't know.
You think that matters?
No, I don't. And that's why I still have, a certain level of kind of looking over the shoulder, just always wondering, trying to keep a security plan for my Bitcoin that's robust enough to deal if they want to try to go after that.
When you have someone that wants to, all of a sudden they got religion and they're ready to drop $250,000 into doing, I mean, is it even possible?
Most of those, you mean like if people that are wanting to invest that much in Bitcoin in one?
Yeah,
most of the time those people go through OTC desks, which is over the counter desk, and so they'll buy off exchange. Right? They're not going to go to ATM because, like you said, the limits we have, but there are OTC desks, and there's a few of them online, and a few of them. I know a guy in California who's got kind of a walk-in shop that he could facilitate something like that at something more reasonable, like maybe 4%, which is all relative. 4% is still, if you're talking about buying gold or something for that, that's a pretty big markup. But compared to the ATMs, that's a much better price. I typically
connected to your identification. Well, I guess the ATM is too. I mean, why are they doing it? I don't know if you're going
to go unless some connections to people. At this point, I don't even think I know anybody. Like if I wanted to make a $250,000 purchase in one go, that I myself am not going to get KYC'd. I don't know that there's very little. Now there's some inner circles, I'm sure, out there, little Telegram chats on groups on, I'm looking to buy, I'm looking to sell in these large amounts, and they have brokers that try to broker these. But they're not the easiest to get into, and they're so scam ridden. There's so many scammers on there.
So how is it that you're able to purchase? Where are you getting your Bitcoin from? It's in a buyer's market now, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. I've been fortunate enough to be in this long enough that I've made enough connections. I've had referrals from you. I've had referrals from many other people I've met through the community just in 7+ years of doing this, where there's probably a dozen or more people that I buy from on a regular basis that, are somewhat bulk purchases, a couple hundred at a time for me is not going to suit the ATMs, but I've got some, connections that just kind of they come to me just about once a week, and just depending on some of them more frequently. So I've got a kind of a network of buyers that are typically looking to sell, and they know that I'm usually in a position to buy. So that works out well.
And what's what, minors or, gaming or freaking porn actresses or something? I mean, what?
It's kind of funny. It's kind of like a don't ask, don't tell thing, and I have no idea. I had no idea, you know, and I don't have any obligation to KYC them or ask them where their Bitcoin's coming from. So I don't. So they're all, I know some of them have done consulting for other altcoins like Dash and other stuff like that. But on most of them, I make it a rule. Like, I mean, I'm a privacy-minded individual, so I don't like to be asked about mine. So I typically don't ask them, you know, where's your Bitcoin coming from?
You know, that's how Morpheus got in trouble. Somebody wanted to volunteer for
Yeah.
the infiltrator, the agent goes, I am professional Russian drug dealer. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that crap because professional Russian drug dealers don't go around telling you they're professional Russian drug dealers, you know?
Exactly.
Morpheus kind of blew him off and didn't care. Boom, jail.
Yeah.
So you have any of those?
So,
there's always somebody coming up and going, I am whatever the hell.
No, I have not. I've turned down maybe 3 total transactions ever just because they were just not smart, and they mentioned they were, you know, maybe, but we're talking a couple $100. We're not talking the large amounts that they set Morpheus up for, but that when they got him, that kind of sent a chill factor through the whole community. Like, by that point, I was like, don't even look at me funny, or I'm going to say no thanks to this transaction. You know, and I've had a couple people say, oh, I'm buying some performance enhancing drugs on a darknet site, or I'm, you know, nothing major stuff, but like I'm just buying, you know, pills or something else. And at that point, it's like, buddy, sorry. As soon as you told me that, like, sorry, I can't finish this deal. But no, I've never had this, you know, these big Russian heroin dealer like they tried to say to him.
You know, seeded some little transactions to see what's up.
Just to see because, you know, Morpheus's first couple transactions, they didn't start out at $100,000, which I think is what the last of the 5 transactions were. It was much lower, maybe $6,000 or something like that. So yeah, I imagine that's quite possible that they just sent little feelers out there.
So you haven't had the hot chicks, you know, long legs, deep cleavage, doing kind of,
oh yeah,
and I want to, you know, what's up?
Oh yeah, in 7+ years it is. I've seen every walk of life. I have seen just the full spectrum of, you know, who you may or may not expect to be buying Bitcoin, and I've seen them all.
Talking as a infiltration attempt.
I got you.
Appeal to your vanity, you know. You're so cute.
Yeah. Well, no, I know the moment anyone says that, I know they're lying and they're set up. So,
you know, I just like, I mean, nothing against you, you know. You get old enough and you're kind of and you're going, really?
Yeah.
You're really working it, aren't you? Well,
I don't think so.
I'm looking for the future. You know, what do you think is going to happen in your industry and what you're doing?
I think there's a good possibility you might start to see, and I would love to do this, and we've talked about it, but there's definitely a lot of cons to doing it. Actual shops, you know, there's a lot of customers that call it just they do want to be walked through it, and we do our best to create like step-by-steps on the ATMs. So what I think the next market shift could be, now this is just pure speculation and I'm just one guy, but you know, little kiosks or stores where they can go in and actually talk to a person, you know, for a $5 or $10 or $15 purchase. Maybe have an ATM in the store, but also sell merchandise through the store or something. Yeah, but have a cashier.
Right.
Yeah. So I know some people are doing that, but there's not a whole lot of them. I would imagine the overhead cost is it's obviously going to be higher than just your ATM, but there's a need for it because we get people that call us sometimes that aren't even our customers. Like they used another company's ATM, but they've been through Google and everywhere online they could think of to go with finding no support numbers and emails only. And that's many of these operators don't even have a phone number to talk to a live person. And so they'll end up getting me on the phone because they were the first phone number they've been able to come across. And after talking to them for a minute, realizing they used somebody else's ATM. And that's always, I mean, we can always use that as an opportunity to try to convert them and say, hey, you know, you can use ours, like people are happy they're able to talk to a live person.
That'd be right up your alley. This just happened this last week. Rat Float Fest in Texas. Several people came. There was a couple hundred people there. Several people came that are already part of Derek Bros and John Bush's Freedom Cells, or they have they were Ron Paul revolutioned up, or they kind of aware of crypto, and now it's time, and they got a use case. Land is so expensive now, or real estate, homes and so on. You get retired individual, they're 55, 75 years old. They want to liquidate, but they don't want to put their money. They'll pay their hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you got millions of dollars in real estate they liquidate, and they'll pay their hundreds of thousands of freaking take the tax money and get out of my face. And now this is my money, right? It's all my money. I paid for my money. It's my money. Now what do I do with it? They can put it in the bank, bail-ins, haircuts, inflation, depreciation of the value of the dollar. Hell, it being abandoned, hyper inflate. I mean, all this stuff they go, and so the general consensus of everyone talking to these people, they come there for help of needing to talk to someone like you, and they say, "Help me! I want to save the purchase of my value of my money for retirement." Or they got some other dream property they want to go buy. They're waiting for the market, the real estate market to crash, which it is, Yeah. That happens. They want to go get it. So where do I put my money? Well, the general consensus for everyone is not in the US dollar. Okay. Get it out of that. So then the other thing is, well, precious metals. I mean, silver's down and manipulated all the hell. It's going to, go stupid someday. So a lot of us trading, silver, guns, crypto, it's all the same thing, So we go, okay, well, you can do silver. I already got a full safe and it's heavy. And whenever I move it, I'm a little old lady. If I got to, I need something. All right, there's gold, you could do that. Well, I got the same problem. I got, it's like a thing and I got to worry about it. Well, then for them to do crypto, you can imagine 15 gazillion things you got to worry about there. Certainly if they're trying to be private with the transaction. So when you're dealing with $1 million, yeah, you can do it. But I mean, it's like, so I got to hook her up with some of the guys there. And she goes, well, I trust you. And I've heard, I listen to your show and, kind of, help me out. And I go, you don't want me taking care of your money. I just, but you don't give it to me, and that's a whole nother thing, But then I'm going, no, what you need is someone to walk you through all of the understanding of what it is, how it works, why. That's where this comes in. This kind of consulting, this kind of services. And when, I just remember Doug and I in the backyard, and we're going, I got everybody coming, stuff goes crazy. They call you up and they go, yeah, Ernie, I know you gave me some and I gave that phone away, or I lost my seed words, or isn't there a Bitcoin customer service, number or something? So Doug and I are racing to see who can get it first on GoDaddy. So I got Bitcoin customer services dot whatever the hell, Don't we have it forwarded to you or something?
Yeah, you let me have it later. Right? Yeah, we were trying to be the race on our phones to buy the domain. Yeah, and then you're like, yeah, you said I'll forward it to you if you want. So I should still have that.
Give me a deal, man. Do something. We'll work a deal. Oh, I got my daughter Sierra had an idea called we call it Moji Link, and what it was an emoji you do in texting. You put an emoji in or a logo or anything that you put into it, and you can add a link to it. So it's an emoji with a link, okay? Emoji link. So I'm going, this is a great, awesome idea. We'll get to it whenever and, kind of start some bits, and someday I'll make it a project and we'll get it done. Well, I get an email from Spain. They really want Moji link. Oh, it's for my friend's birthday named Moji. Yeah, that's a ticket. I'm like, yes. So finally, I go, no, she doesn't want to sell. It's all good. A couple of months go by, they ping again, a couple of months. I go, fine. I go, and she goes, I don't care, sell it. And I said, 4 Bitcoin cash. Next time you call me and it isn't a deal, it goes up. So I just decide, and they go, boom, where you want it, man? We're going to make it happen. So that was just yesterday. I got to check and see what's up. I sent them, my address. I go, when I get 4 Bitcoin cash, then we'll talk. Until then, you just got to trust me, or I ain't doing it because I don't trust you, So
Too funny. Yeah.
I got selling that. So I told her, I said, I'll split it with you. You get your 2 Bitcoin cash and you just sit on it. You keep them till your kids get grown or something,
Yeah.
That's one thing that are you surprised by Bitcoin's rise and rise? Do you think it's got a lot further to go? What's your future prediction?
I'm not surprised. I'm grateful and I'm happy because it's one of those things I always knew the potential was there. We all knew the potential was there, but reaching potential, is it's not always a given. There's been a lot of inventions even outside of crypto, like a lot of things just fizzle out and that have tons of potential that don't ever achieve their potential. So the fact that this achieves its potential is very exciting. But I'm not super surprised, but I'm definitely excited and happy for it, and just happy that it reached its potential because it had to dodge a lot of bullets along the way. Honey Badger has survived, so I'm happy that it is for the future. I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of upside potential. Again,
how's your business model with a dozen out there? I mean, are you just letting the machines do the work, or are you still meeting, or what?
Yeah, I just do. The only meeting I do is to acquire, for me to buy the Bitcoin that I need to sell through the ATMs. But as far as selling, that's all through the kiosks. So I'm not doing much meeting.
This has been, I got a lot of people and I don't know what to tell them. I go, you got to learn how to, I got an appointment with an old business partner that, I'd known from church back in the 80s. He's an attorney in Glendale and he's just peppered the crap out of me. I go, look, if you're serious, when I get back, we just got back, we were in Texas. I go, when I get back, we'll go ahead and sit down and I'll explain everything to you, but have your monies ready. Because I mean, okay, now what? You got to do the transaction and then you got to save it. And then I had a phone situation, happen here, a little bit ago. And I got all backed up paper stuff. And it's a responsibility. There is no customer service except you.
Right. So you've sent people my way even very recently. So I met with someone yesterday, in fact, that was someone that you sent my way. So I do, when I've got friends in the community that, say, hey, talk to this guy because he's a trusted friend, then I take care of those people because I obviously I want all my circle of friends to feel that they can continue to do that, to send people my way. So I appreciate that.
I trust them to talk to you because, a lot of these people either 1, need genuine help, 2, they got some resources, and 3, they're friends and good people that want to meet with reputable people that won't go to jail. I mean, that's thug. He's going to follow the law. He's not going to enthusiastically carry you, but he's going to, make sure he doesn't go to jail. He's got a business to run and everything. So they feel comfortable with that in a very new financial climate, and they see what's coming. And the biggest reason is because a lot of my friends and people I've known, either through my activism or my business or social life or Donna or family or, and then of course my activism, I've been pretty correct. I mean, over the time, when we went back to Arizona for the going away party, it was March 21st. I remember that. Silver was down to $12 range. So I'm screaming, I'm going, blah, 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 blah. Everybody buy crap loads of silver. Don't be stupid. So some people did. Some good friends went and they bought, because they couldn't get the silver from their retirement, they moved it into an ETF of silver. Well, that went up 42%. So now they think they're all silvered up. I go, no, you're not. I mean, take your gain, take the penalty, just go freaking buy silver. It's so cheap. Do you feel crypto is still cheap?
Yeah, I would say I do think we are still in the at least first mover, early adopter phase. There's so much growth potential. I would say, yeah, in relative terms, I do think it's still cheap.
I think Bitcoin Cash is cheap. Why do you think Litecoin is so? Because it's, what's kept Litecoin around? Why?
I don't know the answer to that. The code is so similar. Like the guy literally just changed a few lines of code. Like very little changed, and so you would think that it would carry some of the same, I guess, confidence behind it. I don't know. I don't know if I don't follow the project closely. I don't know if it's been as maintained and frequently updated and whatever managed by developers, volunteer developers. So I've never really, figured out why it doesn't act as, the silver to Bitcoin's gold that it was kind of its original goal. So I don't know why that doesn't do better.
I never really understood, because a lot of the exchange, if you were mining on it, would pay in Litecoin for some reason. Or they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was some minor or transaction or cheaper or faster or something, and which is why it was created to make. That's why it's Litecoin. It was to go a lot faster and not have as many problems.
Yeah.
And for me, Bitcoin is not. It's not. The transaction fees are way too freaking high. It's always, but we're gold and you should love it because it's a really good restaurant that's lined up around the block to use. So you want to go eat there. I'm like, I was like, what? Bitcoin Cash has really lived up to the promises that they made for Bitcoin. The problem is I think people are hoarding it more. I don't like spending my Bitcoin Cash because one thing is I think it does have an enormous up potential when it starts to become a currency. If you do Bitcoin, it's not bubblegum money. You're not buying little bitty whatever transaction lattes. Bitcoin Cash, you are. So I'm just going, I still see the future in Bitcoin Cash. And I think Bitcoin and them know it, and they're doing everything they can to keep it suppressed. So it's like them doing the physical silver market. I don't see a whole lot of difference between Bitcoin Cash, the same they, them, those, whatever they got to do to manipulate it down like silver, which is, whatever, fine, I get to buy more.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't follow many of the altcoin projects. I'm not necessarily a maximalist, but I lean that way, I'd say. And I don't follow the projects. But I do
look
watch
at the transaction fees. That's what I follow.
That's that, yeah.
All my bubblegum money.
The proof is in the. It's like don't follow what people say, follow what they do, and then like my stuff. Like if there's an opportunity to pay Bitcoin Cash, a lot of times I'll pay with that because of that very reason for the fees.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm trying to when I get Bitcoin, which I regularly a little bit of whatever reason I got some. And the biggest thing was it wasn't that I had so much, it was that it went up so much. And I'm trying to keep, my crypto down, to a teeny weeny amount of I don't really care and convert whatever profits into either storage, give it to grandkids, whatever, or I buy silver. But silver's getting to be a pain in the ass to lug around on the love bus, know what I mean?
Yeah.
So find a place to put that. And then we got it, it's a thing. And crypto is so, and we talked about on pirateswithoutborders.com, the second letter of Captain Mark is all about cryptocurrency. And you're not lugging around a bunch of heavy metals, on a spaceship. That's just the way it is. So you need to have something that is digital that can be, crypto, quantum entanglement. They are going to be able, they proved this, before the Chinese had a satellite a few years ago that they did this, but subspace communications in Star Trek is, how the hell are you hundreds of light years away and you're sitting there talking real time? And then in some other episode, you're bitching about it, I'm going, pick. So what they have is quantum entanglement. When you entangle, different subatomic particles, they influence each other at the same time, regardless of distance. So they're talking about live remote control of rovers on Mars.
Insane. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You go look it up. We had on Phoenix quantum internet. The University of Chicago, they're doing this to where now it's going to be quantum speeds using the internet, which means quantum is going to be about, and all your cryptos are now. Thanks for playing. Yeah, I know. You know, this stuff is happening. But of course, what do the crypto maximalists say? And then we'll just use crypto to secure the blockchain. I go, yeah, the day after a nano moment it took
the day after, yeah, you know? Like,
well,
I mean, there's projects out there that are trying to make them quantum proof, but none of those projects aren't getting much traction. Now, like Nexus, we both know Colin. He's trying to do that, basically create his blockchain that's, quantum computing resilient, I guess. But it may be a matter of he's not getting much attention right now. But if that nanosecond you're talking about, yeah, if that nanosecond takes place that you're talking about, he might be the new, a new very wealthy man.
Well, I'm thinking it's going to eventually get to that anyway. And the future of crypto is it's not going away. That's one thing, but it's definitely trying to be in the service of the crown. And I don't need another link in the blockchain back to the crown. I'm not for that.
Yeah.
So are there some projects out there that you're thinking that's doing a good job on privacy? I mean, Monero can't make it into an ATM machine. The man don't like that.
Yeah. Oh, the IRS people, they specifically, it's the only really one altcoin that they kind of called out that they asked about. I said, they said, what cryptocurrencies do you sell on the ATM? I listed the 4, and they said, what about Monero? Do you sell Monero? And it's the only one that they called out by name, asking if I dealt in Monero. And I thought that was no, it wasn't odd. I mean, I guess it's to be expected, but
they put out a
you
bounty
can bet they have their eyes on it.
Did you hear that? They put out a bounty to
No, what happened?
I don't know. They put out a bounty. I mean, it was months ago.
Oh, geez.
So they definitely don't like it. So well, it was made for that.
Yeah. I like Monero just because of mostly what I've heard. Go ahead.
Well, no. Before we go, I just wanted to, not take up too much time, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit after the recording. But the main thing that you want to share with people getting into crypto, and you're providing them a liquidity of being able to buy and sell and do it. When they go with a machine, they're having to supply what? I mean, what's the criteria to use your machine?
Up to a couple grand is just a phone number. And that has to be an active phone number that can receive an SMS text. So, and then you above a couple thousand, they're going to have ID. And then above, if you start going, I think above 3,000, social security number included.
Wow. Well, ID, how's that done?
The camera type. Well, the ID has a barcode on the back of it. So the same barcode scanner that scans your QR code when you're scanning your Bitcoin wallet can scan the QR code on the back of your ID.
Wow. You are the man. I mean,
this is all Genesis software. I wish I could say I built that, but no, that's all built into the software.
Okay, so it is Genesis software?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Genesis, you mean the Winklevi guys, right?
No, that's
Gemini. Okay.
Genesis is you've seen my kiosks before. It's that model, that type is and the picture of the one you sent me, I think, was a bit access machine, so that would be a different maker. The Genesis, creates the skinny tall ones that you've seen that are all of mine. Those are Genesis, and then so the software that they run on is licensed by Genesis. So I buy the hardware from them. I buy the unit from them, but then I also, it's like buying a Windows computer. You buy the computer and then the software on it is licensed.
Do you have different machines, or they're all the same?
All of mine that are deployed are the same. I have a few little small General Bytes machines, and they're like size of a microwave. You can lug them around. I don't have any of them deployed. I think you've had. Yeah, I take them to conferences and stuff like that. But they're available if, like, for small places where I'm not quite sure I want to bring in a huge machine, just because I don't know if it's a very good location that's going to bring in a lot of traffic. I can use it kind of as a let's test this out. Let's place this in here for 3 months and see if it gets any traction. And if it does, I'll bring in a bigger machine.
So what's your future plans? Are you going to machine up? You got a big giant order? Oh my God.
No, I'd like to start getting into those stores. I really think that's where the next pivot's going to be. Like you asked for, like maybe what's coming in the future. I think there's going to be such a need for people to want to talk to a person. So I would like to open at least one store and just have, since I'm doing this exclusively now, so I can I can be the cashier, behind the counter or whatever, helping them out.
But you hear all these terrariums around you. Where are you at?
Oh yeah. You uncovered my real reason for being here. I'm going to pitch my next project to you. These are all. I'm in my reptile room in my house. I've got snakes and some fish tanks and lizards and geckos and all these different stuff. And so that's kind of my hobby has been lately is I've got an operation going where I'm breeding insects and rats to sell to other reptile keepers. So I just sell them through Craigslist and stuff. So I got big old racks full of, I probably got 150 rats in my racks in the next room over, and crickets and mealworms and roaches and different reptile food. So like that's kind of my next
and what the hell
project.
Does that have to do with crypto?
It doesn't, man. You asked me where I was, so I was.
So that's just a personal,
That's
you gotta keep your
so
here.
Bitcoin. Yeah, so I used to work, in real estate, and Bitcoin was my hobby. And then I started doing the, more and more local Bitcoin stuff, and then I started into the ATM thing, and then Bitcoin became my job, and I got out of the real estate business, and Bitcoin became my job. So then I lost my hobby. So Bitcoin, as much as I love it, it's work now. So right. I always like to have a hobby. So Bitcoin was my hobby, but now it's work. So now I had to find a new hobby. So that's what I'm doing all the crazy.
How the hell did you transition into reptiles and growing rats?
It's funny. As a grown man, I realized one day, like I was looking at a snake in a pet store or something. Like we're so psychologically conditioned. We grow up and someone gave me the term for this, but it's I forget what it is. But basically, I saw the snake and that'd be awesome to have. And this thought crossed my mind. Man, I wanted one as a kid. And you know what? If I wanted to get this, I don't have to ask my mom. And it was just a funny thought that went through my head. And I was like, holy cow, it was like this epiphany. Like my mom used to always tell me, no, I couldn't have a snake. So I realized at 40-some years old, I'm like, I don't have to get permission. So it started out with one snake, and then kind of with Bitcoin, like I don't know how to do anything at quarter speed or half speed. So I dove full on into it, into keeping the reptiles. So I started buying lizards, snakes, geckos, all this stuff. And then I realized their food was getting expensive. And so I realized probably how easily it would be to just breed my own. So I started breeding my own, and next thing you know it, I'm like, wait a second, I have a lot of extras. I could sell these online. So kind of like that.
You're just like providing a service for people, or you're making heavy cash, or you're just like don't care?
Oh, I'm just probably not even breaking even just to support the hobby. Now, if I do have dreams of scaling it up and growing bigger, maybe handing the Bitcoin company off to someone else, and go into this and build this company off, and maybe sell this one off. And
so are you going to have some terrariums and stuff in your Bitcoin embassy building?
Well, yeah, I would imagine have to. That by this point, yeah, like,
Yeah,
I bet I will.
absolutely. Well, we're in the valley. Are you thinking of locating it? You've been looking around because there's a vacant property.
Yeah. Um, no, I haven't gotten that far yet. We're trying. So I've got to solve the banking problem first, and that's a whole nother thing we didn't really get into. But I still have not found consistent, reliable banking as a Bitcoin business. So I can't really look at bigger ideas and projects like that, like
So
having a
banking
physical
in what
store,
way?
until I can secure
Someplace to
banking.
put the cash.
Yeah, yeah, because the ATM business it's 100% cash, and so that's got. As soon as you start depositing large amounts of cash, they don't. A lot of people think I lose my bank accounts, they get shut down because they find out I'm doing Bitcoin, but that's actually not it. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you start depositing large amounts of physical cash, they won't even ask you where it came from. You don't even get an opportunity to say, "Hey, explain this." No, you just get a letter in the mail one day that says, "We don't like this. We don't know where this is coming from, but we don't care. So it's too much for us. We don't like it. We're gonna shut you down. We're gonna close your account."
That suckles, man.
Yeah.
Have you found a solution, or is it just a solution?
I've had a few that end up at dead ends, and I've got a few that got really close to getting an account that was going to be, to know that I'm the business I'm in and willing to take me on as a customer. But one fizzled out right at the 11th hour. Other of them just kind of fell apart, and I just have not had anything that panned out all the way to the end.
Go out of state, or does it have to be Arizona?
Until I get a bank account, it will have to stay Arizona because I have to physically service all the machines myself.
Well, I'm just wondering, I think like some states, that'd be like Texas.
Oh, the bank account? Yeah. I already fly to buy some of my Bitcoin. So if I could get a bank account in another state, I wouldn't mind. I can still fly. If they don't have branches in Arizona, I could fly to Wyoming, Texas, and Wyoming is one of those that's more advanced, getting closer to having
but when
crypto banks.
TSA, I know you're dealing in chunks of money. I mean, you're having to go look at my satchel of cash.
Yeah, they don't bother me about it. They've pulled my bag, aside from the scanner a handful of times, and they pull it out. I've had one time they asked me how much was there, and I told them, and they put it back, and they just said, "Okay, have a nice day, go on your way." I had another time they pulled out the bag, looked at it, could tell that it was money, put it right back in, zipped it up, and handed it back to me. Didn't ask me anything. How much is it? Where is it coming from? They just. I'm like, what? Were you looking for something else? Why? That puzzled me. Why she didn't ask me? But she just put it back in, zipped it up, handed it to me, and sent me on my way. I don't like to say how much I travel with.
A lot. Oh, you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a security thing. They got business.
Yeah.
I saw them do a Shark Tank thing when I was in Las Vegas for a Consumer Electronics Show years ago, and their whole thing was them being armored guards for doing cash like this for marijuana.
Yeah.
Because marijuana dispensaries had the same problem. So maybe your embassy, your Bitcoin brick and mortar, be an old bank with a vault.
Yeah, we were talking about that. If we do any kind of Bitcoin store like that, we would have to bring in quite a bit of money and tenant improvements and whatever. Say we took over office space, we would have to beef it up ourselves. But we would certainly go to, pretty extreme lengths just to probably have a single back room that people could come in, like the front-facing store, sell merchandise, lowered volume stuff. If a high-end client wants to come in and say, "Hey, okay, let's go into the back," and they'll have like a little vault room to sit in and do the transaction.
You got to have a man trap do that diamond Jewish jeweler New York City thing. Whatever the hell it is, they got it going down because of. Oh yeah, and fortunately it's Arizona, so there will be firearms involved.
Yeah.
This
no doubt about that.
Oh man, it just seems I don't know where this goes because I don't see that the way the technology is that they can stop it. they can track it all they want. You know, you did it. We know, you know, we're really pissed and they don't want you to pound on you, but they can't stop the transaction. That's the big thing. They can't stop it. They think they can, but they can't. You know, so they have to use fear and intimidation. And you haven't experienced an overabundance of it, but, you know, people around you, because they're not as, I don't know.
I don't know what it is either.
White privilege or something? I mean, what?
Yeah, maybe it is, man. I don't know. Maybe it feels like maybe I'm overdue. Now you're going to stress me out.
Well, no, I mean, you live a clean life. I mean, it doesn't look good on TV. You know, people know who you are and what you've been doing and why. They go after you. It's just going to show them be dicks again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to be publicly dicks. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I know this is, you know, you're stressed now by the end of it, but we're raiding the network right now kind of deal. You know, but this is how we keep you alive. You know, I just like, you know, it's been too long since we had Doug on. We need to get him on, you know. Put them up there for everybody because they're always going to my interviews. You know, you know, that becomes part of the whatever. So Doug Hodges has been doing this for a long time as a service to himself, friends in the community, and the promotion of Bitcoin. And what was needed was an exchange, an ATM. So he went through all the hoops. He filled out all the forms. He meets with all the guys. He does this for us. And I appreciate it. And I'm glad you're there. So I'm just
absolutely. And
I don't want it to get to where it gets in the hands of they, them, those, because that's what's going to happen. Your competition is what? Some big conglomerate from Spain or something? I mean, who are these?
Yeah, there's a lot of, most of them are multi-state, you know, not based in Arizona, and they're spread out all over multi-states. So I'm, relatively speaking, I'm going to be still a pretty small Bitcoin ATM operation. Yeah, my competitors are all much larger.
Well, I mean, are they, like I went through this in the restaurant business because we were quality product at, you know, a fair price that was really eating into their, you know, driving, and they're calling the, you know, the federal and state government on, he has children working there, but I knew if they're your own children or even your grandchildren in a restaurant or a farm, they don't fall under the wage and price, you know, guidelines of whatever the hell labor board and statistics of crap. And when they come in, I go, they're my children. Pace. Well, don't I think you don't get to think for me. That's what I think, you know, so go away, you know, but the competitors were the ones that were calling. So is there you know, they're going, hey, man, we got a little competition from Phoenix Crypto over here. We need you to go pay a visit.
I hope not. I mean, you know, there's some Telegram chats for ATM operators, and it's, you know, by no means comprehensive. It's not every operator's in there. And in fact, there's so many new operators in the last year, and we probably make up a small fraction of owners, but at least in there, we try to cooperate. Some of the early guys are in that chat, but with all these new people coming in, we're seeing more competitiveness happen. And so I hope that stuff doesn't get ugly like that. I'm going to stay optimistic and hope that, you know, we're all kind of in it for the same goal, and the rising tide raises all ships. But, you know, business is business.
I guarantee there's always going to be, wherever the money, I smell money, you know, and here they come. Yeah. And it's always a multi-state conglomerate of your peons have in the way. You know?
Yeah, well.
So we got to keep on them.
Yeah, and you know, and like
for them.
In the long term, I may not have what it takes for business, because I you know, I talk to friends, I seek out advice, like the way to, as far as dealing with the competition and stuff like that. And there is some cutthroat stuff happening, and I'm just like, you know what, I'd almost like, I don't want to play this nasty, dirty game. Like, maybe I'm not cut up. It's like, I'd rather shut down my business than to just like go out and do this underhanded, nasty stuff. So I don't know. Time will tell if politics do get nasty in this space. Then I don't know if I really want to sink to that level and play that game. But
don't get burned. I mean, you know.
No, exactly.
You know, getting's good. Make yours and do them, because we need good guys like you in the space. You know, this
Yeah.
I suggest people talk to you because I know they're going to get a fair deal and a fair shake. And you got one guy that is like a person that's not a freaking psychopath, you know? And these guys
Yeah.
to this, they're going to be psychopaths. I guarantee it. It's
Mm.
about the money, and it's going to be some banker, cousin, friend, person. I'm over here now because they know in the back room of what's going to be allowed and not, and they got their regulator of going to explain it to you. Because I just ask,
Yeah.
always is, because this is more than the ATMs and so on. It's going to be the power of the information. It's going to be the storefront and the people coming in and them needing help. And that was one thing. A lot of these guys, such as yourself, when I send them over, I go, "Yeah, well, do I have to pay them anything? Yeah, give them $100. I mean, give them a little something, something." Well, we talked to a lot of these guys, and they go, "Oh no, I have a consulting fee schedule. You want me to help you?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know. So I'm going, okay, well, I guess there's a market there because there's sure as heck a market on the other side. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you're there, and I want to make sure that we keep you safe, or certainly out in the open, which you've always been from the beginning. Anybody wants to know what you're doing, they just go to one of your meetups. I mean, are you still doing those?
We're doing occasional ones on Zoom. So we're not doing the live one. We haven't done live ones in a while, but the meetup group is still in existence. It's Bitcoin Arizona Bitcoin meetup on the meetup app or at meetup.com. We still have people can sign up, and there's like weekly or something like that Zoom meetings.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're there. Yeah, we're going into here because I want to talk to you a little
Okay.
bit. You know, nothing major, but you know, it's good to have someone like you in the space so that we can kind of get a feel for what's going on out there. A lot of people think they know, they don't know. It was a dozen of your machines. I leave, I come back months later, and all of a sudden there's 200. I'm going, what? No.
Yeah, it's madness.
So it's a thing.
Yeah.
PhoenixCrypto.com, right?
Yep.
And you go,
Yep.
Bitcoin customer services probably up somewhere, you know, which
You
is
go
what.
to, yeah. If you go to our site, if you give us a call, you know, we're going to have a few companies you're probably going to end up as a live person. Now, if someone doesn't answer immediately, we're a small team, so we don't man the phones 24 hours or have someone sitting there, but we return voicemails and texts pretty quickly. So one of the few places in crypto where you can talk to a live person.
And that's what a lot of people need. Thanks for being there. Thanks a lot, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.